What's happening, everyone? My name is Alex and welcome back. So I've had my Tesla Model 3 for a few weeks now, and this is the car that I drive every single day. Now, a few days ago I had to drive my girlfriend's car. She has a newer Mazda 3. It's a 6-month-old Mazda 3. So I had to drive that car for a few hours, and driving that car after driving this one for about a month and a half daily made me realize how much better electric cars are compared to a regular gas-powered car or diesel-powered car. Basically a car that has an engine, an internal combustion engine. So in today's video I'm going to share all that with you. Alright, so first things first, we both keep our cars in the garage, right? But the garage is not heated, so in the morning both cars are obviously cold. Now, with a regular car, a car powered by gas or diesel, well, you can't exactly keep the car running in the garage because you're gonna get all the fumes in the garage there, so that doesn't work. Now, if you do have an electric car, I can just take out the app, at least on my Tesla, and I can start the heat in the car. And since there is no engine, obviously there is no exhaust fumes in the garage. So you can keep the car running as much as you want because, as I said, there is no engine, so no fumes. Now, even if you forget to turn on the car before you get in it, in an electric car, you basically turn on the car, and as soon as you turn on the heating in the car, well, you're gonna have heat in the next 10-20 seconds. With a regular car, so car powered by gas or diesel, well, it's gonna take at least 7-10 minutes till the engine gets warm enough so you can actually have heat. So that's the one thing that I experienced having one of these electric vehicles and then driving a regular gas-powered vehicles. The next thing I've noticed is the noise in the regular car, so in that Mazda 3. Now, that Mazda 3 isn't the cheapest car out there, isn't the most expensive car out there, so it's a decent economy car, I'm gonna say. But the noise from the engine is quite annoying after you get to drive this. And I'm not saying that the noise from these cars is bad, because if you have like a Mustang GT, as I had before this car, before the Tesla Model 3, well, that one sounds really good. But nobody's gonna miss the sound from a Honda Civic, a Mazda 3, or any other little car that, well, they just don't sound good. That engine's like, you know what I mean. So the quietness that you get in an electric vehicle is very calming. So definitely something that you notice after you don't drive one of those cars for a while. The next thing I've noticed is the lag. So you press on the gas in the gas-powered vehicle. After you press on the gas, it takes like 3 seconds for the car to actually start revving the engine. The engine starts making more noise, and eventually you start moving. But it takes a while, and it's not really that powerful. I mean, by the time the transmission downshifts and all that, with an electric car, when you press on the gas, let me just go here, check this out. So when you press on the gas, it's not even called the gas because there is no gas, but when you press on the accelerator in this car, the torque is absolutely instant. There is no downshifting, there is nothing. You just press on it, and as soon as you press on it, it goes. That's not the same with a gas-powered vehicle. So that's another thing that I definitely noticed as soon as I started driving that Mazda 3. Moving on, so I had to take the Mazda 3 to get an oil change, and if you have an electric car, you never have to do oil changes, you never have to change the spark plugs, you never have to change the timing belt, and so on. So the maintenance in one of these electric cars is much less. Of course, you still have to rotate the tires, you have to take your brakes for checks every so often. I think they say every year if you live somewhere like in Canada, at least with the Tesla Model 3. So way less maintenance. So aside from the fact that you don't have to pay that $70 to $250 for an oil change, depending on the car that you drive, of course, because the more expensive the car, the more expensive the oil changes are. You don't have to go there every 3 to 5 months. Then they're trying to upsell you some other maintenance. You have to do this, you have to do that. So aside from that, you don't have to spend like an hour there just sitting around waiting for an oil change. So definitely a plus having an electric vehicle regarding maintenance. On the way home from that oil change, I had to stop and fill up the car, and that was the first time I had to get gas in almost 2 months. With an electric vehicle, you never have to get gas. If you charge the car at home, as I said, I have a garage, so the car charges at home every night. The tank is basically full every single day, so you never have to stop at the gas station. Now, don't get me wrong, a gas-powered vehicle may be better and a bit more convenient for longer trips. I mean, if you're driving like 1,000 kilometers or 800 miles or 600 miles, yes, a gas-powered vehicle may be a bit more convenient because you can just stop at a gas station, fill up in 5 minutes, and then you're good to go. With an electric vehicle, you have to go to a charging station. There you have to wait for like half an hour, 45 minutes, depending how far you're going, depending how far the next charger is, and so on. So for super long trips, a gas-powered car may be ideal in a way. But for daily driving, because in town, if you do like 100, 200 kilometers a day, you can basically just charge at home, and you never ever have to go to like a charging station or a supercharger in case you have like a Tesla. So your tank is always full. So definitely a plus not having to visit gas stations ever again. Not to mention that charging the car at home is so much cheaper than buying gas for any vehicle. Since we are talking about gas and charging, with an electric vehicle you can actually find a bunch of charging stations that are free. You heard that right, free. So you can charge your car for free. Imagine being able to stop at a gas station and getting free gas. That never happens, obviously. Now, when you find one of these charging stations, and there are a bunch around, hotels have a bunch, there are a lot of charging stations, the charging speeds aren't that amazing. So in an hour, you're probably gonna get like 10 to 15% charge, depending on the car that you drive, of course. But still, 10-15% charge, that's still like 60-70 kilometers or 40-50 miles that you get for free. And as I said, you never find free gas. So if you have the time, if you park somewhere close to wherever you're going and there is one of these charging stations, free gas. And we're moving on to another thing that's more convenient in an electric vehicle, and that is the one-pedal driving. So with this car, I barely touch the brake pedal. So as soon as you take off the foot from the gas, the car slows down by itself. It's basically called regenerative braking, and every time you take your foot off the accelerator, the car basically charges the batteries back. So that means one thing, it's easier to drive. Of course, it's going to take you a little bit to get used to how much to take off your foot so you can actually stop in time, but after driving this for a few weeks, I can definitely make it without touching the brake, not even once. And aside from being easier to drive that way, you never probably have to change the brake pads. Again, another maintenance thing that with a regular car you're gonna have to change every, 60,000 kilometers, 80,000 kilometers, depending on how you drive. So very convenient driving with one pedal. The next thing I want to talk about are the built-in dash cameras. Now, if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I always say that you should buy a dash camera for your car, and you should definitely buy a dash camera for your car. However, if you have a Tesla, at least a Model 3, you have a dash camera system. So you have cameras on the front, on the back, on the sides. So everything is recorded constantly. And as I said, if you have any other car that doesn't have a dash cam, even though I feel that these days all cars should have dash cameras, you should definitely invest and get yourself a dash camera. It's gonna save you money in the long run if something happens on the road. The next thing this car has is called Sentry Mode. Sentry Mode is basically like an alarm system. So whenever you leave the car parked somewhere, the car will basically record everything that happens around it when there is something coming close to it, like a car, a person, something like that. And all that is saved on a hard drive. So once again, something that you could have if you buy or save like an aftermarket dash camera system for your car. But with the Tesla, that's built in. So much easier to use since it's already in the car built in. Moving on to another super cool thing that's built in the Tesla Model 3. Now, this is only a Tesla thing. So we also have a built-in entertainment system. And that's awesome if you're waiting for someone, if you are charging, because as I said, sometimes you have to wait in the car for like half an hour to charge. So you can watch Netflix movies, you can watch YouTube, you can listen to music, you can do all that on the screen in your car. And with most other vehicles, you can't exactly do that. I mean, my girlfriend's Mazda 3 has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay or whatever that's called. So she has a little 7-inch screen there, but on that screen you can't really do much. I mean, you can look at the maps if you have the phone connected to the car. You can reply to some text messages. So having this screen here is pretty awesome if you have to wait in the car for anyone, or if you're just sitting in the car for no particular reason. So another thing that's super cool about this particular electric car. And the last thing I want to talk about is the Autopilot. Now, the Tesla isn't the only car that has something like the Autopilot. There are a bunch of manufacturers that have similar features. Now, this is the first car that I got to drive that had this Autopilot feature. So whenever you're on the highway in traffic, Autopilot makes driving so much easier. You basically just let go of the wheel. You don't have to accelerate, you don't have to brake. You're supposed to keep your hands on the wheel at all times, keep that in mind. But basically the car just drives itself. And you know, when you're in rush hour, you basically start moving, you stop, start, stop, start, stop. Well, with this car at least, you don't have to do any of that. You basically just let the car do its thing and you just sit back and relax while holding your hands on the wheel. So yet another thing that an electric vehicle, at least this particular one that I'm in right now, does better than a gas power vehicle. There are probably other things that are still better in an electric car compared to a gas power car, but that's all I can think of today. If you have any other suggestions, definitely leave a comment down below, and let's share all that with everyone. Again, if you find a gas power car better than an electric car, leave a comment down below and let us know what you think that is. Oh, and if you're buying a Tesla anytime in the future, don't forget to use my referral code. There will be a link to that in the video description. And that way we both get 1,000 free miles of supercharging. Once again, free gas. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, don't forget to press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.